All right, we had an audio problem. We're back. Tonight's video is about our scientific studies that has proven that we are the most effective treatment for sciatica. We do lots of scientific studies, 4 of which are specific for sciatica, one of which was published this year earlier, and one's going to be published by the end of the year. And we do mostly treatment for herniated discs, bulging discs, degenerated discs. But these are all conditions that will cause sciatica, which is the pain that goes down the leg. Over our 25-year period, we've treated 26,000 patients, over 500,000 treatments administered, and we've had 8 scientific studies that we're involved with. You can access these studies through pubmed.gov. It's the government database for scientifically proven medical journals that are peer-reviewed. So you can access that through that. It's also archived with the National Library of Medicine. We do a very specific treatment, and the treatment is the result of something that happened to me. In 1988, I smashed my back, and what I did is I jammed my sacrum into my L5 vertebrae, developed a severely degenerated disc as a result of the injury. Also developed a fairly large herniated disc, a bulging disc, developed some stenosis, which is a narrowing, and then also developed a little bit of irritation to the nerve, causing me sciatica in both my legs. Had some inflammation of the end plate, so I had a lot of things happening to my spine. It was something I struggled with for 10 years. A lot of back trouble. And I wasn't getting better. I was very frustrated. And I went on a journey and I found a way out. And then what we did is we brought the things that I had done for myself into our clinics and perfected this process along the way. Now, you need to understand what causes sciatica. There are 5 causes of sciatica, but typically it's the irritation to the nerve as it's exiting through the foramen. Typical spine looks like this. The head's here, the hips are here. There's 24 vertebrae between the head and the hips. The vertebrae are the bones. In between each bone, there is a disc. The disc allows for motion of the vertebrae. Each vertebrae is designed to move in 6 directions, forward, back, side to side. And that motion takes place on top of the disc. The disc is designed the way it is as a result of all the load that it has to maintain and also the motion. The disc is a lot like a jelly donut. So the nerves in the neck go into the arms. Very often, if you've had a pinched nerve in your neck, you'll have pain in the neck. Sometimes you'll have pain that goes into the arm. Sometimes you'll have pain that goes all the way into the hand. Same thing in the low back. Nerves in the low back go down the legs. If you've ever had a pinched nerve in your low back, very often you'll have pain in the back. Sometimes you have pain in the hip. Sometimes pain that goes into the knee all the way down into the foot. The sciatic nerve is the largest nerve on your body, and when it's pinched, it can hurt a lot. It can be very, very, very painful. Now, the disc is a lot like a jelly donut in the sense that the outside of the disc, there's a thick material. Inside the disc, there's a jelly-like substance. That jelly-like substance is designed to move. And as it moves around in there, very often you can develop problems with the disc. So again, the annulus holds the nucleus. The disc is like a jelly donut, but also the nucleus gives stability to the disc the same way air gives stability to your tire. So you need a healthy nucleus for a healthy, functional disc. The nucleus is designed to distribute stresses evenly in all directions on the annulus, and very often what can happen is the angle of the load on the disc can change and force all the pressure into one position. And when that pressure is in one position for too long, the outer portion of the disc starts to break down. And as it starts to break down, you'll develop a little bit of a tear. But also, the disc relies on a network of arteries that runs through the inside of the vertebrae. The disc is the largest avascular structure. What does that mean? It means it doesn't have a lot of blood supply. So it relies on a network of arteries inside the vertebrae, and it relies on motion. So if the vertebrae are not moving properly, you will not get the proper flow of oxygen in and out, and what will happen is the nucleus will start to dry out. And as that nucleus starts to dry out, you'll develop more severe problems. That's the degenerated disc. But again, as the angle starts to change, or the angle of the load sort of pushes into one direction, the annulus will start to break down under the load. And as it starts to break down, you'll develop a bit of a tear called a fissure. Sometimes it'll start just small in the beginning and then progress its way out to the outside. Looks like this. Nucleus starts to push its way through the annulus, through what's called the fissure, and you develop a bulging disc. Well, the bulging disc will start to pinch the nerve. So the disc will bulge into the space where the nerve is. Over time, the annulus will tear even further, and as it tears further, what happens is you develop a larger herniated disc. And that, again, will start to aggravate the nerve, and it has a lot to do with the angle of the load and the activities that you do on a daily basis. Now, one of the things that we offer is our top 10 tips. They're really designed to help you take the load off the disc, helps you heal, okay? We'll put a link to the tips over here, but the tips are designed to get you in a position where you're taking the load off the disc. Too much load on the disc causes the disc to break down, and that breakdown process will ultimately start to pinch the nerve. Looks like this. Nucleus pushing out into the space where the spinal canal is pinching the nerve. That pinched nerve is the sciatica that then goes down the leg, just like this. So we know it's the bulging disc, we know it's the herniated disc, and one thing I didn't talk about is you get a rupture, which causes an extruded disc or a sequestered disc, but they all will start to pinch that nerve. Another reason is as the discs start to break down, the vertebrae will start to physically get closer together. So a healthy disc looks like this. As it breaks down, it starts to get smaller. Space gets smaller. As the space gets smaller, the opening starts to get smaller and the nerve gets pinched. So degenerated discs can start to pinch those nerves. And degenerated discs will also cause bulging discs. They bulge into the spinal canal because those discs have nowhere to go. And that causes a little bit of stenosis. Same thing, that's stenosis, which is a narrowing of the space because of the disc. The nerve gets pinched in the canal. And that also will cause the sciatica that goes down the leg. Bulging discs, herniated discs, degenerated discs, and stenosis. But also what happens is the vertebrae can shift. As the vertebrae shift, that's called spondylolisthesis. Well, the opening physically gets smaller because the vertebrae are shifting into positions where it's going to aggravate the nerves, causing the stenosis or the sciatica. So what do? Our goal is to take the pressure off the nerve. We get a healing of the disc, take the pressure off the disc, and then we activate stabilization exercises. If the spine is stable and you have proper motion, proper biomechanics, you lift properly, you live your life in ways that are hygienic to your spine, the spine will maintain a normal stability. And you can live your whole life without pain. Okay? The key is to take the pressure off the disc and stabilize the spine. We treat the cause of the herniated disc. What's the cause? It's those 5 things we talked about. It's mostly the disc because they're all in some way related to the disc. How do we do that? Well, we take pressure off the disc. So we have you wear a harness that takes pressure off the disc, and as we unload the disc slowly starts to move back to the inside. And there's very specific exercises that we have you do at home for the disc. We also have a program to help you better understand what you can do at home for your disc. It's a process where you do exercises that unload the disc. Everybody's a little bit different, so your technique to unload your disc is going to be different, and there's a way to figure out what your technique is specific for you. But the way we do it in our clinics is we have you wear a harness and we take the pressure off. And as we take the pressure off, we slowly start to get the disc to move back to the inside. Slowly over time, back to the inside. This particular patient had a herniated disc for 5 years, came in to see us, went through the program. By the end of the program, his herniated disc was gone, his sciatica was gone. That was over 10 years ago to date. He still does not have any back pain. And he's 65 years old because he was 55 when we did this. He got better. Same with the football players. All three of these guys are football players. They get better, and they have some of the worst spines possible. All the years of football. Same thing. Herniated disc, went through the program, got better. The herniated disc will pinch the nerve. Bulging disc, degenerated discs, and herniated discs. Patients get better as a result of our program. The first study we did was in 2007, and what we did is we did an MRI, a treatment, and an MRI, and we compared the MRIs, and what we found was we could increase the flow of oxygen and nutrients into the disc. In over 30 treatments, that increase in nutrients allowed for the disc to go back to the inside of the vertebrae, freeing up the sciatic nerve. Herniated discs went away, sciatica went away. This is the first study. This is study number 1. Study number 2 was done in 2014. Study number 1, we increased the flow of oxygen and nutrients back inside the disc. In this particular case, the medical radiologist who was reading the MRIs after this patient had 30 treatments, he said, you need to get in here right now. You need to get in here right now and see what's happening to these discs because they are changing. They're getting smaller. Patients are getting better. 2014, we started the next study. It was published in 2016. You can access this one in pubmed.gov. 70 patients that had sciatica went through our program. We compared it to 70 patients that went through traditional physical therapy with sciatica. Compared the two treatments, and what we found was ours was 10 times better. Wasn't a little bit better, it was 10 times better. Why? Because we affect the disc. Take the pressure off the disc, allow the disc to heal slowly over time. All 70 patients got better as a result of the program. Our patients, when they started in our program, their back pain was a 7.5. By the end of it, their back pain was a 0.8. Physical therapy patients that went through the program, their beginning pain was 7.8. By the end, it was 5.4. We have the ability to solve disc problems. That's what makes it so much more effective. Patient published this year, March of this year. She'd had a surgery before she saw us. She had fusion surgery. The most advanced, complicated, and probably the worst possible outcome you can have is the result of fusion surgery. Before the surgery, her back pain and her sciatica was a 6. After the surgery, her back pain and sciatica was a 3, and then 2 weeks later it went to an 8. And it was stuck at an 8 for a couple of years. And a good day was an 8, a bad day was a 10. She was in so much pain that she was starting to lose it emotionally. She was taking handfuls of opioids all day long to try to kill the pain. It wasn't going away. It was so bad, she contemplated suicide on 3 separate occasions. She had the fusion, resulted in a herniated disc and pinching of the nerve sciatica. Came in to see us, went through the program. There's no drugs, there's no surgery. She got better. Her pain was gone. To this date, her pain has not come back. This study was published this year. She was treated 4 years ago. 4 years after her therapy, she still had no pain, even with the fusion. Okay, the fusion, she had gone to an 8. We can solve the problem in the disc. You solve the problem in the disc, the sciatica goes away. Fourth study, 1,200 patients that needed surgery. All were candidates for surgery. Came into our program, they got better. 907 of those cases had sciatica. Average age of these patients, 54 years old. They had back pain for 7 years. Beginning pain was an 8. Ending pain was a 1. Their Oswestry Disability Index, which is a number for how disabled you are as a result of your back pain, was 46%. They were struggling with a great deal of back pain. Okay, so much so that they couldn't live their life. They all wanted their life back. Give me my life back. Went through the program. Their disability was a 46. By the end, it was a 9. 9% disabled, considered asymptomatic. They were better. They were saved from surgery. Of these patients, 26% had had the surgery before they came in to see us. and they didn't get better. They went through a program, they got better. 60% had gone through physical therapy, 27 through chiropractic, 39 through injections. Half of them were taking opioids before the treatment. By the end of the treatment, they weren't taking the opioids anymore. Why? Because they were out of pain and they were confident and comfortable. Sometimes if you don't know if your pain's coming back, you end up taking the opioids. They were off the opioids, pain didn't come back. We have the ability to solve the need for opioids. Again, many of these patients had had the surgery and many had had the fusion surgery before they saw us. And they got better. We have the ability to solve the problem in the disc. When you solve the problem in the disc, the sciatica goes away. There's things that you do at home. There's exercises you can do to take the pressure off the disc. The key is to get the disc to heal and get the blood to flow. It's a combination of doing different things. If you like this video, I want you to click the like button. I want you to subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to eliminate back pain from the planet. 95% of all surgeries are not necessary. Advanced problems, you need to come into the clinic. Non-advanced problems, we can help you at home. There are things that you can do. Share this information. If you have any questions, ask the questions. Again, I'm going to put a link for the top 10 tips. And we're going to have, you can take a look at the tips and sort of get your idea of what you can do in your life to start to make your life better. 844-577-7329 is our phone number. If you want to make a consultation, give us a call. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We're here to help you. You will get better. You do not have to live with back pain.